Are you ready?
Yeah. Hello, good evening and welcome to the Henley College and welcome to our virtual information evening. And this evening we're going to be looking at several subjects. Let me just flip over to the next slide. We're going to be looking from 6 till 6:30 at Earth Science, and that will look at environmental science, geography and geology with Marco and myself. And from 6:30 till 7, we're going to be looking at the academic sports programs at the Henley College. So we will be looking at level 2 and level 3 sport and PE A level. Then 7 o'clock till 7:30, we will be looking at the enrichment and elite sports at Henley College. These are the actual participatory sports. And then finally, there'll be a short explanation of public services, or now called protective services, by Roger. So I think we'll kick off with Earth Sciences, and we're going over to Marco.
Hi everyone. So my name is Marco. I'm one of the teachers in the Earth Science department. So I teach environmental science. I've been teaching here in Henley College for about 4 years now. This is a very, very interesting subject. The majority of the students take this subject because they take a massive interest on topics that are current and hot on media at the moment. Talking about global climate change, the loss of biodiversity worldwide. We talk about ozone depletion, pollution. They very on target with pollution at the moment. They are investing massively on renewable energy. So everything that we cover in this subject is pretty much about topics that we are now experiencing at the moment in colour and life. So I've prepared this slide where you can get all the information about the subject. Just to give you a brief idea, I think the students like the beginning of the subject quite a lot because they talk about biodiversity. They get to know the reasons why biodiversity is under threat and how humans are interacting with the biodiversity for both the benefits and the harmful impacts associated with it. And then we finish off always with ecology, which is about preserving and conserving the biodiversity for the future. Now, once we finish that, we then go on to the physical environment, and in the physical environment, we cover things like atmospheric pollution, global climate change, ozone depletion. We do a lot of selected habitats together with that. So we cover Antarctica, tropical rainforests, and then what will be the impact of those habitats in the overall atmospheric pollution levels, especially on global climate change. And then we cover water, lithosphere. We talk about the mineral resources. How do we get them? Why are they so valuable to us? What are the potential impacts of mining and getting those resources? And also, again, what will be the solution for the future? So I would say the first year, pretty much those first two topics, and the first year is about building the basics for what we do next. And in the next year, so in the second year, the students look into human activities. So what sort of human activities are we doing at the moment that will cause a bigger harm to the future of our planet and the resources we are using currently? So it's all about sustainability. We cover things like agriculture, fisheries, forestry, aquaculture, and then we finish off with a big topic, which is the sustainability topic. It's a topic that we're going to cover pretty much throughout the 2 years. As you can see on that slide, there's a last topic which is called research methods. So this is what students get to do in a practical manner in terms of environmental science. So we do 4 days of mandatory field work. So there's a couple of places that we normally go on a yearly basis. So we normally tend to do 2 full days in the first year and 2 full days in the second year. We go to places like Botanical Garden from Oxford University. We do visit the Harcourt Arboretum, which is another local visit. In the second year, we visit Rushall Farming so the student can have first-hand experience on looking at how organic farming is done, what were the benefits of organic farming in comparison with commercial farming. So they do a lot of stuff which is done on a practical manner, but their exams will be in writing. However, those practical activities are quite good because the students get to have a hands-on experience, and they will be much better prepared to kind of analyze and evaluate these experiments in theoretical questions. So it's about giving them the full package so they are better prepared for the exams. The results have been quite good for the past 4 years. The results you have in that slide are from the last year. So we had 13 students completing environmental science with 100% success rate, and 90% of the students got an A star to C. So these have been the results. They have been pretty steady in the past years with 100% rate. And then obviously the A to C grade changed slightly, but they have been consistently about 70%. One of the questions that we normally get a lot in environmental science is what my daughter and my son can do with environmental science. There's loads of options. Environmental science is kind of an umbrella subject at the moment, and most of the companies need some sort of people or person working in something related to the environmental science because of sustainability or health and security checks. So you have a couple of professions there, career prospects that people can take with environmental science. They're not the only ones. They are the ones specific for environmental science. But we've had all sorts of students doing traffic management at university. We've had students who have gone and to nursing degree with environmental science. I've had two students last year who went down to do biology, even though they've never done biology A level. So there is a wide range of subjects that you can actually take with environmental science. So what I would suggest is if there is anything that you really want to ask about environmental science, we will have a Q&A session open from now on. So any questions that you have about this subject, just ask me and I'll be on the background answering. So do you think there's anything missing in terms of environmental science that I should mention?
I don't know. We have a student that's the Environment Agency now.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's the most direct. We've had quite a few students who've gone on and done degrees in environmental science. There are some really good courses available. And if you think about all the building work that's going on at the moment, and even looking at things like HS2,
yeah,
they need environmentalists to go and assess before they start digging. I know they'll have archaeologists as well looking at groundwork, but there are so many jobs. Before you build in any way, you have to, if you've got trees nearby, you have to have someone assess the trees. So there are all sorts of related jobs that, you know, a huge range of different sorts of jobs that relate to them.
Yeah. So that's it. So should we move to geography?
Yes, please.
And it'll be
me.
you.
Yeah. I'm going to lean this round towards me. Hi there. So I'm Sandra Wickens, and I'm the curriculum leader. And the geography that we do is with AQA A-level. And we have, I think, 40 students in the first year and 40 students in the second year. So that's 2 classes with 20 in each class. So you get 2 2-hour lessons of all of the subjects at A-level. So 2 2-hour lessons of geography in the week. And with your A-level timetable, all students are free on a Wednesday, which means they have the opportunity to join in with sport enrichment and so on. And the matches are always on a Wednesday. I just mentioned that generally. And please do, if you've got any Q&A, type them in for us and we'll be checking back on those to see what's being asked. So in year 1, we start with physical geography and we start with coasts. And the reason for doing that is that you'll see on the slide that you have to do a piece of coursework, a non-examined unit. And coasts lends itself to so many opportunities to learn skills for fieldwork. So counting things, measuring things, looking at management of the coast, looking at landscapes and features and change over time. So all of those things are really good to do early on in the year. So we get ourselves down to the coast, so usually to Christchurch, the bay there, and we go to Barton-on-Sea and Hurst Castle Spit, so that we can do fieldwork. And you can see on there's the slide of us in the sunshine with long shadows. I think that was probably October when we went down. But before the weather gets too bad, we get off and get and do some field work. So that's the first thing. And then the next thing we do is called changing places. And again, this lends itself to a lot of fieldwork opportunities. So our current first years have been out last week, the week before, and they'll be going out next week. And they're doing fieldwork just locally in Henley. So one of the things that they've done in pairs is to go around Henley and assess whether the shops are clone shops, that is chain stores like Boots or Costa, and which shops are independent shops. So we're looking to see, has Henley become just the same as all the other towns locally? And there is a formula that goes with what they're doing, and they add it all up, and then we look at what route they took and did that make a difference to the survey. And all of this can be then used as part of their individual study. Then thirdly, and that's usually just after Christmas, we move on and look at urbanisation, and then we have our next long trip fieldwork. We'll be going to central London. So we're going to go to Spitalfields and Brick Lane. And for those of you who know it, it's a very vibrant area, masses of photo opportunities with amazing graffiti. But for Marco and I think it's fair to say there's an opportunity to go to the bagel store, which is the best one in London, because back at the turn of last century, so 1901, it was an area that was entirely, or not entirely, 90% Jewish area. And before that, it had been an area where migrants from across Europe, mainly France, the Huguenots, came to England. They were being persecuted in their own country because they were Protestants, and they came here. And then the Jews came over as they were being exploited and so on, first of all in Russia and then later in Germany, which you will all know about. And so we had a sequence of different migrant groups coming through and adding to the whole flavour of that area, quite literally the flavour of the area where the bagels are concerned. But now it's a largely Bangladeshi area, and so we also do quite favour the curries that we can have for lunch when we go there. So it's an area of massive change. We call it population churn. Every 5 years, more than half of the population in that area changes. It's awesome to go and visit and see what's going on, and it changes each year that we go. Also in that area are some very, very posh houses that have been gentrified. And we look at how can this house, which costs 3 million, be just a street away from somewhere where there are all sorts of problems with homeless people, drug taking, multiple deprivation, poverty, unemployment, low education levels, right next door. So it's brilliant that we can go and see how close those two groups of people are in the middle of London. And again, we pick up lots of fieldwork skills. And then the last one for that term is water and carbon cycles. And then into term 2, into year 2, the students then spend their summer collecting the data for their projects, which we've agreed, lent them the equipment for and got set up. And then they'll be writing it up in that first term, right up till Christmas. And during that term, we do possibly everyone's favourite. We do hazards, we do earthquakes, volcanoes, storms. I'm about to do fires, which you won't have done at GCSE, so it's a very, very interesting one. We're going to be focusing on California, but it could be Australia, and looking at how that links into previous term when we've looked at global warming and how things are changing over the whole planet. So looking locally, regionally, globally. And then the final area of the syllabus is globalization. And the globalization element brings everything together because geography is such an umbrella subject, and it looks at international issues, it looks at Antarctica, and so on. So that's really, really very interesting and a nice subject to end on, but not one that you could have done fieldwork on. And we couldn't have done fieldwork on the hazard zones. That would be too dangerous. So we don't do that. So the logic of how we've set it out is that. People ask what were our results. Well, you can see those. That's last year's results on there. 100% pass rate, 50% high grades. That's A star to B. That's not A star to C. We have some photos of students doing local fieldwork there, and as I said, down at Christchurch. People also ask, what does geography go with? And it's such a good subject for that, because you can do maths with it and biology and it becomes a science subject, or you could do English and ancient history with it and it becomes an art subject. It sits a bit on the fence, if I'm honest, in that way. But a lot of people who just love geography will do it with PE. We have a few students doing PE and rugby on our course. We've got people doing sociology and art. We could have physics and math, film studies, English, RE, photography. It goes with a huge range of subjects, and it's what they call a facilitating subject on the curriculum. Something else you think I've missed out on?
It's probably good to mention that every time that we have natural disaster,
Yeah.
we always try to bring that to the classroom.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we
Yeah.
had recently the Turkey earthquake, and you covered that with second years.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So we always take the opportunity to look at the most recent natural disaster and bring that to the classroom, so the students can have something more up to date.
Yeah, definitely.
Curriculum, which is good. The other thing is probably the international weather, but we'll wait until the end.
Okay, we'll let you talk about geology next. Okay, and then we'll talk about the international next. Thanks very much, Marco. So back over to Marco.
Hi, I'm here again. So I'm also teaching geology. So geology has been a subject that we have run for the in the past couple of years, but it's highly dependent on numbers. Geology is a very, very interesting science that the majority of the people normally are afraid to take it because they've never done it before. So what I would say for those who have never done geology before, if they like physical geography, and if they want to do something in the field of physical geography together with geography or any other science, because geology fits very well with any other science like biology or chemistry or physics, I would entice them to try geology, because I'm pretty sure they will love it. So the last group I had about 7 to 8 students, and none of them have chosen geology as their first option. So it was their third or fourth option in their A-level program, and all of them ended up doing geology in their university degree. So I think it could be one of those surprise subjects that even though you have never tried it, you're going to find it something brand new, exciting, and you might find the passion of your life in there. As you can imagine, I am very passionate about the subject. I am a geologist myself. I have a geology degree, and I do bring as much as possible my professional experience in geology to the subject. And I think that's part of the reason why the student engage so much with geology, because they will be able to see firsthand how do you apply geology in the real world. Now, what is geology about? Geology is pretty much the science that studies our planet, and we're literally talking about everything associated with our planet. We're talking about the organisms that we have in our planet. We have the formation of continents and oceans. We're talking about all the dynamics associated with hazards that, for example, you do in geography. We're talking about how the atmosphere and the continents and the water in the oceans all link together. But if you look at the slide, you can see more or less what the spec we're doing. So just to kind of easy up the minds of the ones you're afraid of taking geology as a new thing, the first topic we do is foundation in geology. So even if you have never done geology before, the first few months are pretty much about building foundation in geology. So we're going to look at basics of basics of geology. So we're going to look at minerals and rocks, how the rocks are formed, how the minerals are formed, how do we look at different types of rocks and their formation. And then we're looking also at fossils and how fossils can be used to give us a notion of time and how the planet was formed. Students normally like the fossils about dinosaurs, but they end up discovering fossils of so many other organisms that we have in collection in our college, in our laboratorial collection. They find out there's so many other amazing organisms before the dinosaurs that tell us so much about our planet. So after we do the foundation, so it normally takes about 2 months, then we move into the geology content. So we start by looking at tectonics, and for the ones who like hazards, that kind of crosses over with what we do in geography, but in a different notion, in a different kind of perspective. So while in geography you might look at the economical, social benefits, and also problems associated, impacts associated with earthquakes and volcanoes. In geology, we're looking at what triggers those sorts of hazards, what is the process that are happening in our planet that are responsible for those sorts of tectonic processes. So this, for the students who do like geography, and they are very decisive about geography or physical science, something that I want to do in university degree, it's a good combination to have with geography. So geology, geography do combine very well with one another. Moving on to what we do as well. So we're looking at interpreting the past and petrology. So petrology is about looking at the rocks in a geology perspective. So looking at classifying the rocks in igneous, metamorphic, sedimentary, look at how the different rocks are formed in our planet, what are the processes responsible for that. And then we're going to look at the rocks in the eyes of interpreting what they might tell us about the story of our planet. They might tell us that there was a volcanic eruption at a certain time that was very important. So, for example, in the UK, we have several rocks that are from volcanic origin. But although we now look at the UK and we say UK is volcanically inactive, UK did had a lot of volcanoes back in the days, and they are just preserved in the rocks. The only way we know that is because we have rocks that are volcanic rocks that are underground. And if we didn't know how to study those rocks, we would never find out. So, for example, in Cornwall, people tend to be a bit more radioactive because they live underneath granite rocks, which emit this radioactive gas that is called the radon. So we know this because of geology as well. So geology does give you the opportunity to take a lot of careers. So similar to environmental science, you could do environmental engineering with geology, but you can do much more with geology. You could go for geotechnical engineering, like Sandra was mentioning earlier. Any construction, any infrastructure that needs to be built needs to have a report made by a geologist saying that the foundation, the rock underneath that foundation is strong enough to support the infrastructure they want to build. So pretty much any engineering work will require a geologist. A lot of students do geology degree either to work on mining or oil and gas industry, which is one of the topics we also cover, which are the last two that you can see in the slide. But there's also other opportunities, like people who like to work for the energy sector, the government. So there is, for example, the Department of Nuclear Energy. A lot of the people who get employed in the Department of Nuclear Energy have a geology degree. And there's always, obviously, the geoscience research, which are people who want to do an academic career. In terms of results, the results have been very good in geology. So we've had a 78% of A to B as well, so not A to C. And we've had a pass rate of 8 out of 9 from the last cohort of students we had for geology. In terms of assessment, there will be 3 papers. The 3 papers are all in writing, but there will be a practical endorsement. So that means they will also have 4 days of mandatory field work, similarly to environmental science and geography. So students do sometimes these 3 earth science subjects, and they end up doing 8 or 12 days of field work different for each subject. But that means during the 2 years, they will be very busy with field work. So if it's something that you're really keen on doing, then these 3 subjects are probably something that you'd be looking into. So think seriously about doing 1 or 2 or even the 3 of them if you really like being outside, getting practical skills sharpen up, and associating the theory you do with what you do in the field as well. I think those are the biggest selling points of these 3 subjects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's. I kind of think that people who like geology are the people who are the physical geographers
Yes.
in a way. So if you're not so keen on the population and things like that, but you love rivers, coasts, volcanoes, then geology is a really good one to go for.
And there's also, we normally have